Sling tackles and more bumps. Is this it for the Cats or just a form slump? The Swans struggle to face their demons at the MCG. And on a historic night for the Saints, Ross the Boss inflicts another loss. Another huge round of AFL action, and to dissect it all and cast our eyes towards round 4 on Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub, we're joined by Footy's best newsbreaker, Damien Barretts.
Thank you, Rabs. You're very impressed with that intro again, mate.
Thank you, mate. The only man to get suspended after raising money at a charity dinner, Daisy Thomas.
Well, thank you, Rabbits. You're rhyming there. Oh, boy.
And the 287-game, two-time All-Australian and St Kilda Hall of Fame member, Joey Montagna.
Good to have you back, Rabsy. Rudy filled in the chair pretty well, but geez, you've stepped it up a notch. You must have felt threatened by Rudy last week, and you've taken it to a whole nother level.
I
with the
wrote
intro.
that Sunday night, a couple of edits as well the last few days just to get it right.
Well done.
Thanks,
Very
boys.
good. Very good.
Very nice.
How is everyone? How are you, Dees?
I'm really good, thank you.
Love the retro kit. You're on the
good.
flag pies bandwagon.
All about the flag pies at the minute. And why wouldn't you be? They are playing some awesome footy. I'm getting excited. Obviously, gather round coming up over there in Adelaide.
Top of the table clash against the Saints. Gather round.
Oh, that's what we're
Oi.
looking forward to. And, well, hasn't Damo been bloody in the news this week about Adelaide itself, saying that we should claim that we should have the Adelaide v Port Adelaide game at the MCG?
I've been saying this for a few years. It's got a lot of traction this week in a negative sense, as is often the case. But I've written columns about this. I feel it's time to bring this over to Melbourne, this whole showdown. But look, you know that Adelaide people aren't going to like that idea. But I just think it would grow even further and bigger than what it already is. But more importantly, you two have had big weeks. You had rightly acknowledged as a Hall of Fame member, as part of the Saints 150-year celebrations. But you've officially made it, Days.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. You haven't made it until you're on Media Watch on the
done,
ABC.
well done.
And you were on it. You were focused on it. You're a promo line in it.
I love the fact that this is what happened. So I was actually catching up on maths at the time. I wasn't quite and my phone started lighting up and they're going, you're on Media Watch.
You've never heard of Media Watch, have you?
Never once in my life have I heard one. And that's not having a dig at the great show that I'm sure Media Watch is, but I don't plan on watching it going forward. Give me a rundown of what it is, please, and how I featured.
Well, when you grow up as a journo, the last thing you want to be on is Media Watch.
it?
And then you realise once you're on it, that's not that bad, you know. But you,
So is it good
you
for
haven't
me?
made
Is
it.
it
It's good for you. No,
positive?
embrace it.
Right.
Own it, and try and get on it again. That's the way
Okay.
to get some good cut through. So this was
Damo's been on it.
So,
I
is
was on
this
it
a
last
good
year
thing?
for the sports
I
bet
feel
ads,
out of it. I'm waiting for my moment to be on Media Watch.
Well, if we keep going with Big Call Montagna on the Sunday run,
Well, there
I
you
think
go.
we might be getting
I'm
there.
not sure that's going ahead again. But I'd say, it was good exposure for your ambassador stuff for the pilot weight loss, because Damo, I watched it for the same thing. I heard Daisy was on it, and then I texted. I said, "Where's that pilot weight loss stuff? I'll get on it."
Like all these
You
things.
got paid to do that, did you?
I'm going Media Watch, no, but for the pilot stuff, I might be getting a little bit in the pocket there. I get really nervous when they say you've featured on a serious show.
Yeah, you should, because
I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like when you get called in the principal's office, and you're like, and they don't tell you what it's for. You're like, well, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. Which one is it? And they go, oh, it's for this. Like, no worries.
Or it's like when the coach rings you midweek and you're thinking, why is the coach ringing me? Your first thought is, what have I done? Then he rings up and goes, I'm just thinking about training next week. And you go, feels good. Yeah.
Perfect. You didn't see me last night at the Malvern Vale.
That was a story about, who was it, which I can't remember which team, whether it was the St Kilda players or one team where they tell a story that the coach had found out that 3 or 4 players were out on the drink when they said no drinking. So the coach got them in on the Monday and said, right, I know who was out drinking. I've got your names here. Got to put your hand up and own up. I'm going to give you the chance. And like 16 players all put their hand up. And the coach only had like 3 or 4 names on his sheet. And then they couldn't get all in trouble. So that's a bit like
We
that.
had Jeff Welsh pull us in one time, and after Ben Johnson had got in an incident at the Harp Hotel, I think it was, might have almost been the G-Bunk. Anyway, one of the two. And he's going, right, I know who was there. I've seen the vision. Daisy, you were there. What happened? I said, oh, well, I was there with Heath, and outside of that, I can't really remember much. And then he's asked Heath, and Heath goes, yeah, well, I was there with Daisy, and, well, we went for lunch, and I can't really remember. Didak, he goes, well, I was there with Daisy and Heath. This went round for about 30 minutes. Poor Jeff Welsh goes, well, I applaud the fact that you're not lagging on anyone, but geez, you blokes are hard to work with.
Then there's that time you were at another club and you had just a little quiet red wine during the course of a week, and you got into trouble for that, which I defended you on at the time. And you can find some news for weird reasons, Dave.
Get me on Media Watch. Oh, look, this is what it is. That's what it's all about. So, no, good on me.
How was Saturday night, Joe, before we move on?
That was good fun. Yeah, it was great. All the heroes and legends of the club were there, you know, going back from the guys in the 60s and then through the 80s and 90s. Nicky Winmar, Tony Lockett made the appearance. So it was great to have everyone in the one room and just recognise 150 years of a lot of downs and some ups and the resilience of the footy club and hopefully 150 more.
Who had the most buzz around them? Plugger? Like, who are you most excited to see of the old boys?
Aussie Jones was always good value. He was up and about. Nicky Winmar has always got good energy about him. Plugger just sort of snuck in the back, came late, sort of stood in the back corner. So there is a buzz when he's in the room, but he's a hard man to sort of draw much out of. So it was nice, though.
I did obviously work with you Sunday lunchtime, and you were still up and about, but a little bit broken, a little bit sore, which is understandably. It's a massive achievement. You go out and you celebrate. I then worked with you Sunday night as well, and you were still punching at about 10:30 on first crack, still delivering line after line, didn't miss a beat, and I could see in the you were pretty broken by that time.
I crashed Monday. Fair to say Monday was a slow day.
It was a credit to yourself, not only for the Hall of Fame, but how you actually managed to get through Sunday.
That's what I'm more proud of, fronting up Sunday.
Well done.
Fair Dinkum or Fugazi still to come, but right now it's time for some news with the best in the business, Damien Barrett and Damo. Are we worried about the Cats?
Well, the 0-3 scoreline, Rabsy, Joey and Dees, 22-point loss to Collingwood week 1, 8 points to Carlton week 2, and then I think a more worrying 19-point loss to Gold Coast on the weekend just gone. They've got Hawthorn on Monday of this particular round coming up. You'd expect them to get the win there, but that game aside, and even taking out the forecasting of that game, there's enough now to be of some concern for Cats people. I'm still holding on them. I still think they finish top 4 and can do some damage, but there's enough to be seen in the 3-week body of work just to be a little bit worried.
The only surprising result for me so far was the Gold Coast one. I could have happily seen them lose the first 2 rounds like they did, because the other teams, I believe, at this point in the year are going better than how they were and how they actually prepare for their season. This now becomes a massive fortnight, as you say. Hawthorn and then West Coast. They need to get it to 2 and 3. I'm not really worried as to how they're going. Can they tighten a few things up and actually show a little bit more? The Gold Coast game was not great in terms of actually how you think the Cats play after half time.
Yeah, it wasn't.
That's the only little thing, but I still got full faith in what they do as a football club and admirer of what they do and how they're able to turn these things around on the fly and pretty quickly historically. And I think we see that again this year. I'm certainly still a buy and I think they'll be doing great things.
To win the flag? You still think they can win the premiership?
Absolutely. You get the extra week this year as well in terms of the season. So to be 0-3, it's nowhere near ideal, but is the difference of 2 and 1 any bigger or greater? Arguably not.
It's probably a bit more, I think, the way they've played the first 3 games. I know you said they've lost to some good teams, but they have looked a bit flat and they've looked like their spread and their run is off. So you wonder how much of the damage from pre-season can you try and catch up as the year goes on? And it's only small percentages. So when people talk about their slight hunger or hard edges missing or some injuries and some young players, and they are 12 months older, all those little things do add up. And we know how ruthless this competition is. I mean, we've seen it week to week already in 3 rounds from some teams that are on and that are off. It is so competitive that if you're slightly off, it is very hard.
So are you worried?
Well, I am, because I think 0 and 3 means that you're going to have to play catch up all year to finish top 4. Like, you're going to have to get on a roll. They're going to have to go, 15 and 5 or something like that.
They won 16 straight to finish the year last year.
But they're not last year's team. Then they're not the same team as last year right now. So they're not going to win 16 straight. Can they win 15 and 5 in their last 20? Possibly. But for that to happen, you need everything to go your way. You need a good run with injuries. Tom Hawkins needs to get back to his best. Other teams are leapfrogging. So I just think
and 15, that may, just to do the numbers on it, that may not get you top 4.
That's right.
15 last year with the 22-game season, Fremantle didn't give them top 4.
You might need 16 wins.
Yeah,
so
just to put the maths on it. So they've got 4 games of wiggle room up their sleeve.
So I think top 4 becomes really hard. Now, I still think, like you guys, they'll make the 8. But are they the same team as last year? I'm starting to think maybe not, which I think is fine. And you look at all dynasty teams, right? And you call Geelong a dynasty team, even though they haven't won more flags. They've been a prelim grand final team for the last however long. But all these other teams eventually drop off. So Hawthorn went through their stage. 2016, they still played finals, but they went out in straight sets. Sydney, when they went through that period from 2012 to 2016, grand final, prelim, grand final, they still played finals, but didn't win. They weren't the same team.
So you think this is a start of the slide?
A little bit. I think Geelong will play finals, but I don't think right now that they are going to be as challenging those maybe some top 3 or 4 teams that I think are in their prime at their age bracket, have got more hunger, are more ready, like the Melbourne, Collingwood,
so then you
Brisbane
can make
teams,
that call
Sydney.
on what you've seen in 3 weeks.
I think you've got to, as I said, now that the issue is the way they've played. I think they'll play better. At some stage through this year, they'll look like a team that the old Geelong, and we'll start saying, oh, here they come, they're getting it together.
We will say that. That's a guarantee.
Yes, that's exactly right. But whether playing catch-up for the whole year and trying to do that again, we know is going to be harder. So I think the 0-3 start makes what was already going to be a challenging year for them even more challenging.
They're not the same team we saw last year, but arguably they should have got better with what they've done over the preseason in terms of who they've brought in.
See, I disagree with that. I think we overhyped how good Henry might be a good player. Right now, he's still a bit of a
He's a third-year player finding his way.
Yeah, inconsistent player. Tanner Bruin, we think will be a good player. Hasn't really shown yet that he's a bona fide
But I think this is
player.
more
Jack
reasons
Bowes
as to
is a
why.
fringe player. Brady Galea still new as a key defender. So
I think this is the change as to why we're getting what we do.
That's
I
right.
think once
I agree.
they cement their spots and actually figure out how they all work in that CAT system, I think they'll be better for that because they're younger, exciting, arguably more talented than some of the players they've had in those spots of late.
Yep. I've been regularly critical of the match review office into the tribunal with the mixed messaging. We'll just talk about this quickly. That was a groan there. I want to give them a real pump up here because I feel the messaging has been strong and consistent to this point. Round one, we had the crackdown on the bump and the charge in the same sort of conversation. Round two, we had a crackdown on sling tackles. And in round three, the takeout was the possibility of causing damage in the act. And you've been big on that, intent as opposed to outcome. I feel they've at least been consistent on three major issues in the game, and I just hope that they can maintain that for the remainder.
I agree with you 100%, Damo. I think finally we're getting some consistency on what will be a suspendable action in AFL with a bump. And if you intend to bump and you make the choice to bump, as opposed to bracing yourself to protect yourself from contact, you're now going to get a week, and depending on the severity, more. I think we're starting to get some clarity. Yes, there's been some players early on that have, maybe a bit surprised, and there'll be a few disgruntled people from those clubs. But I think for the betterment of the game, I think we're in a better state after 3 weeks.
Blake Acres might be one of those people, Joey. Of the two that went to the tribunal last night as we talk, Griffin Logue and Blake Acres, I thought he was unlucky. But again, I don't have an issue with it, provided they keep that as the blueprint. Yep. Just quickly, you groaned when I mentioned this topic.
I had no issue with the Blake Acres one. I think you could clearly tell that he put one hand out to smother but knew he was making contact with the right hand. You get him high, that's fair enough. You get a week because you chose to get him high. The Griffin Logue one is the one. The ball bounces past Will Day. So Griffin Logue's come off because he thought that kick was going to hit. So you have to come with real intent and speed to close down that if you are going to make the decision to come and man the mark. The ball then misses. You then change your whole instinct to then, I'm going to play the ball because it's missed their target. Will Day turns around not knowing that there was anyone coming. The ball hits your foot. You're on your same trajectory and speed, and there's a bloke in the way. Yeah. I just don't know how he's expected to get out the way unless he went to pick the ball up. And then once he realised in the nanosecond that he didn't put his arms up and run into him with his chest, I thought that one was a pure footballing action and then incident. And I think he was very stiff to get the
tribunal said that he didn't make a genuine play for the ball. The reason why it hit his foot is because he didn't commit to going to pick up the ball.
The reason it hit his foot is because he doesn't have a whole heap of talent below his knees.
He didn't go. He didn't make a genuine.
But I guarantee, if that was Caleb Daniel, he would have picked the ball up, still braced for the contact, and then fed it.
Then that would have been fine. Because if you make a genuine play on the ball, you're fine. Griffin Logue didn't make a genuine play.
I honestly think that Griffin Logue, with the skill set that he's given, was hoping for the miracle bounce that landed right in his breadbasket. It didn't because the ball, as it goes, it stayed low, hit him on the shin. And he was planning in that second once he realised to pick it up. He would have braced for contact, which would have been fine because he would have then had the ball. And then he had two receivers to dish the ball out. So by cause of fumbling it, he's now getting a week on the sidelines. And I don't agree with it, but I do like the fact that we are stamping this thing out.
The whole player movement processes within the AFL are quite restrictive when it's compared with other sports, and that's just the way it is. The AFL doesn't trust clubs to make decisions under stress. That is within season. There's other reasons for it by way of salary caps and also robbing the lesser competitions of good players in their competitions. But ultimately, it's going to open up at some stage. That's a given. Now, how quickly this happens, who knows? Craig McRae wants it even endorsed this year. Are we open to this? Are we ready for it? A mid-season trade period, not just from taking players from the lesser leagues, but from other clubs, as I would argue, in an AFL world.
100%. Yeah. It's inevitable that we should get to that stage. The opportunity for the clubs that are trying to win a premiership to help with their list, I think, is great for the game. And those that maybe aren't in finals contention get the opportunity to get some probably some overvaluation of players because inflated figures because players will go to clubs that need them.
They've got a currency at that point in time.
So I think it's a win-win. I think it'll be great for the game, great talking point. as long as they work out the mechanisms around salary cap and list spots and all those things,
It can be done, that.
it can be done.
Do
I think
we
it's great.
get worried at all about the transference of IP?
I think that's completely overblown.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Do
do
you
too.
think so? Do you think if you went to another team and you said, "Hey, I know what their hit spots are or where they're kicking the ball," do you really think that's going to make a difference?
Think
And
of-
if a club wants to get someone from another team for that reason, well, good luck to them.
yeah, I just feel if you had one bogey side that this would be a genuine thing. When you can't put your finger on it as a team, you go, well, maybe we can go and get someone from the inside. But apart from that, I'm all for it.
One more, Eagles. Massive amount of injuries that come out of the most recent game, that being the Derby. We saw McGovern go down, now requiring surgery on a hamstring. Liam Ryan, same condition, surgery on hamstring. Cripps smashed his ankle up. Witherden got hit. They've got Nat Nui on the sidelines already. What won't be seen until
Liam Ryan, did you say Liam Ryan?
Yeah, Liam Ryan as well as McGovern, and also Elliot Yeo yet to be seen. So massive issues. They're always in a position of transition. Last year, 2 games or 2 wins only. This year, 1 win to this point. A lot of these decisions that they were heading toward are now upon them.
Yeah. Play
So-
the kids, and it's an opportunity to play more kids, blood them. It's going to make it tough for them, and they're going to have to make some hard calls on some of these injured superstars that have been at that club for a long time. They're going to have to make some tough decisions like Hawthorn did, and try and find their next list, their premiership list. But they've got a long way to go.
I think they've had their hand forced a little bit, as you touched on with injury. So I think that probably makes some of these conversations a little bit easier when you talk about the older players. You can purely say, hey, look, we think your body isn't up to it. This is why we're going to go with this. Soften the blow a little bit. And I think now as an industry, if they do start playing the kids and they are non-competitive, we almost give them an out going, well, they've tried their best to patch it back up with the experience, but that hasn't worked due to injury and whatever reason. I think we give them a free hit now from this point on in the season, and our expectations are certainly lowered.
Plenty more still to come, including the round 4 predictions. But up next, it's Fair Dinkum or Fugazi on Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub with Joey, Daisy and Damo.
Yeah, Fugazi, it's a Wazzy, it's a Woozy, it's a...
So, for those just tuning in, we ask the boys a question and they say, yeah, it's Fair Dinkum, I agree with it, or they think it's Fugazi and they don't agree with it. So, Joey, you've got the new ball today. I'm going to ask you that after the Showdown loss, Ken Hinkley is the coach under the most pressure in the AFL right now.
Well, right now that's Fair Dinkum, but then we know the way this game works. By next week, he probably won't be the most under pressure coach, depending on who wins and who loses. So that's just the way it works.
All right, well, okay. If he loses to Sydney in round 4, will you definitely say he's the coach most under pressure?
You're probably looking around. It depends if Gold Coast or Western Bulldogs lose. It could be Luke Beveridge. It could be Stewie Jew. So, look, he's under pressure,
Yeah.
but we knew that for the whole
Yeah.
year. He'll be under pressure all year until they either make a decision or they play in a prelim.
Damo, only Max Gawn can stop Clayton Oliver being recognised as Melbourne's greatest ever player by the end of his career.
That's a great question. I'm going to go Fair Dinkum. I love what both of them have done, and the 6 All-Australians that Max has got puts him into that conversation right now as Melbourne's best. But Clayton Oliver, drafted in 2015, in his second season of footy, won a best and fairest. He's won 3 others since. He shared one of those with Max Gawn, by the way. He's got 4 to his name already.
How many All-Australians has Oliver got at
I
the
think
moment?
it's 2. I
Two?
might get Rabsy to check that as I talk. I think it's 2. But
Yep.
what, unfortunately for him, just to continue this long-winded answer to the Fair Dinkum component, he should have already run a Brownlow medal. But both Maxi Gawn and Christian Petrarca, have a look, Joey. I mean, you do studies. They have taken votes off him
Yeah, I know.
in significant ways that have actually meant that he can't win one.
But all the
And-
greats find a way to win it. Brisbane had Simon Black, Ackermanis and Voss, and West Coast had Kerr and Cousins and Judd. But I think he'll win one, Clayton Oliver, at some stage.
Premiership player, 3-time All-Australian, 4-time best and
3.
fairest, 2 times AFLCA Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Not
2
bad for
times.
150
And he's
games.
still peaking. He's
Yeah.
only 25,
Yeah.
and he's still got another 7 years of brilliant footy in him. Yeah.
Good question, Rabsy.
Daisy, well, Rudy wrote that one,
Well done,
sorry, but I'll
Rudy.
take the
Hey,
credit.
Rudy.
Daisy, with the dissent rule and the tribunal, the AFL's got more things to worry about than fans not having to line up to wait for a hot dog at Marvel Stadium.
No, that's Fugazi.
Yes.
Lining up for a beer when you go to the football and or food and missing 20-odd minutes. I remember back to Western Bulldogs Melbourne when they played after the they opened the season. Was
Yep.
that 2 years ago?
Yep.
I
Yep.
went along. I sat in the outer. I did the right thing. I took a mate. I didn't go behind the glass. I thought I'll just keep up the People's Champ vibes. And I missed 24 minutes to go and get 2 mid-strength beers. So that is absolutely not good enough. Bring on the AI. I'd rather them scrap the tribunal, to be honest, and then put Chriso just purely in charge of making sure I can get cold piss pretty quickly.
Well, that ruins my next question because I was going to ask Damo that Daisy's never had to wait for food or drink at the footy in his life.
I'm surprised there he said he went out of the outer, not behind the glass.
It was the last time, I
He's
can assure you.
long relinquished his rights to a amount of the people that man.
I'll share the text message about having to sit in the outer at Adelaide Oval next week. Hey, Damo, having seen some of the players that Joey played with over the weekends throughout 2009 to 2011, it's criminal that Saints team didn't win a flag.
Yeah, fair dinkum. And of the 2 grand finals they reached, or 2 seasons which finished in grand finals, one obviously was a draw. I still feel it's 2009, the year before against Geelong, is the one that got away more than the drawn one against Collingwood the year later, and then the replay of that one, which ended very ugly for a Saints perspective. But yeah, look, it is, to use your questioning word, it is criminal. So that's fair dinkum.
What about just some of the bad breaks in those grand finals? And I know I was fortunate to be on the right side of it, but the Milne bounce late in that game, it could have gone any other way, and he walks in the goal and premiers. The little toe poke in the middle of the ground in the other one. Just these things that just seemed like it wasn't meant to happen for whatever reason.
Do you ever think about them, Joey, those little breaks?
Only when you bring it up and ask questions like that. Thanks,
Only
Rabs.
5 times a day.
Hey.
I know some of your ex-teammates think about it a lot. Still on the Saints, Daisy.
Yes.
The only Saints person who got more screen time than Ross Lyon ahead of their 150th anniversary was our man, Joey.
Yeah, that's...
It's fair.
Yeah, no, I'll go Fair Dinkum. I'll go Fair.
I
The only
feel
other
that.
person I could think of was not a player, and that was, of course, Eric Banner. He got a lot of airtime, and a couple of young kids didn't know. But Joey, rightfully so, was absolutely everywhere, pumping up, and now just purely saying that don't call me Joey, don't call me Lee. I will now be referred to as the Hoff.
Joey, Friday, the teams will come, well, Thursday night, the teams will come out for Friday, and once again, North Melbourne versus Carlton, there's only one McKay on the team list. Fair Dinkum or Fugazi, these brothers will never play against each other on an AFL
That's
field.
fair dinkum. This is now like 8 games in a row or something where they have not lined up against
it's
each
their
other.
8th season of footy.
And
So-
they
so
still
it's-
haven't ever played against.
Never. No, it's
Listen,
an 8th
ridiculous.
season. If they've got double-up matches within those seasons, it's more than
16,
that.
yeah.
But yeah.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but
No, but you don't have to play always have the reverse.
This is ridiculous.
14.
It's getting ridiculous. That's fair dinkum. Good one, Rabs.
Joey and Daisy.
Oh,
And Aussie can win the Masters this weekend.
absolutely. That's Fair Dinkum.
Yeah, oh yeah. Fair dinkum.
Big time. And I cannot wait to be watching it too.
Which
So,
one?
If I was betting,
And you do.
Cameron Smith.
Yeah, I think Cameron Smith's in it up to his eyeballs. Yep.
Damo, with form, Easter Monday, Geelong versus Hawthorn, that could once again be a blockbuster game.
Fugazi, Rabs, you're on a good run there for a while, but I just, as much as I like what Hawthorn did, and as much as I think that they will believe that they are going to be able to challenge at some stage, I think you'll find Geelong just clicking back into gear.
Well, thank you for having a go at me because it makes it easier to play this. So, boys, I want you to listen to this little bit of audio.
I feel bring it to Melbourne, not just to make it a Friday night time slot, but bring it to Melbourne MCG. Nat, we're all going. The entire competition's going to Adelaide in round 5. If you schedule that game, okay, if you don't say MCG, let's go with Marble Stadium. You'd fill it. You'd fill it.
That's even worse.
That audio courtesy of AFL.com. Joey, on Damo's thoughts there. Barcelona and Real Madrid should bring the El Clasico to GMHBA Stadium.
Very good. That's Damo's worst call. Damo's normally very good, but that just won't work. No.
Did you want to defend it again?
No, I'm very much with Joey on this. I like everything, and everything you say seems to be really measured.
Not always.
Fairly. That's a miss. I think if you brought it over here, the Adelaideans would vote with their feet and not come.
It's
and you'd
no
be
one in
left
Melbourne
with-
No, but you'd have to obviously give them a reason to come over and
What,
make them feel
cash?
good about it. Yeah, well, yes. Cash works. The old Kevin Costner, build it and see it grow, watch it grow, whatever the phrase was. So, look, it would work. I've got no doubt it would work if you gave good reason for it to happen. But I say these things, and I've said it before, this one, you know it's not going to happen.
No,
but
that's
I just
right.
would like to see it tried.
Well done. Well done for having an opinion on it.
Last one collectively. How exciting is Gather Round going to be? It's going to be the most exciting home and away round of footy for a long time next week.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I think it's exciting for everyone that's making the journey over, trying to juggle our work commitments and then finding a time to be able to go out for dinner and have a good time over in South Australia.
That's where Rosie was going, Joey.
Well,
That's a fair part of it.
otherwise it's going to be exciting, but still a round of football. Well,
No, I'm
shot
with you,
that
Joey.
down.
The excitement around it is the atmosphere.
The atmosphere
It's not-
and what's
It is another round of football
Yeah.
in Adelaide. If you just went to Adelaide for a weekend, arguably not that exciting. But the fact that you can go out and enjoy the carnival-like atmosphere. I heard they've got a zip line now across the river. Don't worry about taking the bridge. You can get on the zip line.
There you go.
A whole year to prepare, and the zip line's the selling point. So it will be brilliant. I can't wait. Who does the scheduling at the AFL, the fixturing?
Travis Old.
Travis Old
Is it?
used. Well, yeah.
Well,
let's go with Travis.
whoever it is deserves a nice case of red wine for what they've done for the start of the season because it has been awesome footy.
The matchups have been great.
Yeah.
And I think Kylie Rogers drove this gather round, which I was very sceptical about. But like you two, I can really see it being a regular part of an AFL season.
Do you think it travels?
Yeah,
Yeah, you
it
do?
does.
Good.
Yeah, and I think Queensland is an obvious next one in a growth market, and particularly given that the problems that will be attached to not having access to the Gabba for 4 full seasons. I think that's a
Do it
real
next
issue.
year.
Maybe give up
Yeah.
on petitioning for the showdown in Melbourne and get gather round in Vegas. now that would get
That
you and I
would be-
moving.
that would get
gets the
exciting.
needle moving.
Before
with
we get
Daisy.
to gather round 4 is upon us. We've got to get your predictions next on the Midweek Rub with Joey, Daisy and Damo. That's it. And round 4 kicks off tomorrow night at the Gabba, Brisbane versus Collingwood. It's going to be an absolutely huge game. But before we get your predictions for this round, Joey, let's touch on last round quickly.
Well, order was restored. We're starting to get a good feel now for the competition, a bit more than we did the first 2 weeks, Damo. So we were able to get our certainties.
You may be, but I'm
so
not.
I had Collingwood to beat Richmond as my certainty. Thought they were the better team and did it the hard way, but they got there.
Yeah, and I
You-
went for Freo, but I was
Yeah.
fortunate enough to have West Coast not have any players left by the end of that game, so that could have gone either way
Still.
too. So.
And Daisy was very good as well with his. Who's your moral for this week, Daisy?
Port Adelaide
Against
in the
Adelaide,
showdown
showdown,
against the Crows. They've won, where is it, 5 of the last 6, 4 of those by a margin of 49 points or more. Bunnies they are. All the confidence in the world. Port Adelaide will smack the Crows.
I'm starting to worry about your hip pocket, Daisy. That's 3 weeks in a row you've backed the truck up to these teams and it keeps failing.
Where's the Oracle
Are you
gone?
okay?
Yeah,
The
for
Oracle's
about a
cooked.
month back in 2021, there was no one better in this caper than you.
No, I don't, look, testament to the scheduling because you don't know who's going to win. So I don't take all the responsibility for getting them wrong. I tell you what, am I getting some strong feedback on the socials about how bad I'm going? You're meant to be an expert, sorted out, all this sort of stuff. So to all those people, I tell them to jam it, and I'll be back this week. I have an absolute certainty for you too.
Okay, well, you kick us off then.
Keep doubling
look,
down.
And I'm pretty confident. I'm not going to take the low-lying fruit here. I'm going to put them on the line. I think Carlton will smack North Melbourne.
Oh, it's sort of low hanging.
It's the
relatively
lowest
low.
hanging.
No, the only lower hanging would be Geelong over Hawthorn.
We just spoke about McKay and Curnow going to kick 15 between
There
them.
it is. I need to get one away here. Every
No,
now
no.
and then you just need to make 100
You're not
against
having that.
Bangladesh. I am taking Carlton as my certainty.
All right, I think St Kilda to beat the Gold Coast are my certainty. They will be
certainty.
4 and zip, Dame. Does St Kilda make finals from 4 and zip?
I'll still say no, but it'll be an interesting conversation to have this time next
It will.
Wednesday when we do
it'll set
gather.
up gather round St Kilda Collingwood. Saints will
would set
win.
up.
They are playing great footy. I'm still not convinced about Gold Coast, even though it was a good win against the Cats. I think Saints will certainly win that.
I'm going to go for. I like what Adelaide's doing, but I'm going to go for Fremantle in the away capacity in that particular game. I still feel there's a lot to offer from the Dockers' perspective this year, and I like their backline. I reckon they'll be able to work its way through the myriad of problems there from a forward's perspective.
Find the right matchup for Rankin. That's the key.
Before we deep dive into a few of these games, have you got a surprise for this round as well, Daisy?
Yeah, I'm going to take the GWS Giants to upset Essendon. 50-50 game, obviously, so not the most bold call. But as I said, my form hasn't been that great, so I just need to get away here.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I'm in a 50-50 game. I might go the Western Bulldogs to beat Richmond. I think that I know Dusty and Hopper are back. The Dogs maybe just found a bit of their identity on the weekend. Richmond is still a bit of a watch for me on how good they're going to be, so I'm going to tip the Dogs in an upset.
I like it. I'll leave Fremantle as my upset option there as the pick, but I do like I do like Sydney though if I want a certainty selection against Port this week.
So Easter Thursday footy tomorrow night, Brisbane versus Collingwood at the Gabba. We know the Lions are a completely different team at home, Joey.
They are. They very rarely lose at home, but they're going to want to play better to beat Collingwood. Their forward line at the moment with Danaher, Hipwood's right off. Collingwood are humming. I'm going to tip the Pies. I love the way they're playing. fascinating to see what the fallout is for Brisbane if they go 1-3, Damo.
Yeah, will
big
be.
raps on them this year.
And the midfield matchups are going to be crucial in that game, aren't they? And Jordan De Goey heads up to the Gabba in career best form. Now, he's had good patches before, but he started the season like rarely before. So, massive part of that game.
I'm concerned. I've got my Pies top on. I'm full nuffy mode at the moment, but I'm concerned with what Brisbane will be able to do in the midfield. If they use that ruck advantage and get it outside the bubble, completely take away the strength of the Pies, that being their contested ball differential where they've been so good in the first rounds of the season, get territory on the back of that and set up the ground up there, which they play well regardless, but they should be absolutely dominant. I think they've got enough wise heads in there too to give them completely different looks. Okay. I think for that reason alone, it's going to be an upset and the Brisbane Lions will win.
Come in wearing your retro Collingwood jacket and then he tips
I'm still on board for the flag Pies. Don't worry about that. But they have to lose sooner or later.
You've already said you're bullish on Freo this weekend, Joey. Yep. Are you nervous? Adelaide versus Freo. It's a big game.
It is a big
Dockers.
game. I like the way Crows are playing. Their forward half's got a lot of talent. If they break even in the midfield for any team, like most teams in the competition, that forward line is going to be potent. So Fremantle would want to win the midfield battle. Sarong, Brayshaw, Sean Darcy. If they get on top, they should win. If they break even, Adelaide's forwards, watch out.
Are we getting around Isaac Rankin enough? I feel like if he was going like a busted, the pile-on would have been a lot more than the pats on the bum are coming for him at the moment.
I think we are. Yeah, I mean, he's playing for a team that had lost its opening 2 matches. He's
doing his
effect
part,
in that. No, he did. No doubt. And he was given, David King, who voted on the medal from 1,000 kilometres away, gave him best on ground, and I think he got that right.
I
the other day.
agree. Yep.
Yeah.
No, I just thought I'd put it out
No,
there
I
because the
think he's
kid's
Best
going
small
love.
forward in the game right now.
kid's going very, very best small forward in the game.
Right now, yep.
Love that. It's a big call. But I think we just need to give him a nice pat on the back and say well done, because being in that position, if it doesn't go well early, the pile-on can start.
Yeah, and the money's on comes part of that conversation.
It does, whereas now it's just ticking all the boxes. So well done to him. Hopefully he has a great rest of the season.
Obviously, you're tipping Carlton versus North, and I'm guessing Melbourne versus West Coast and Geelong versus Hawthorn.
Yep.
What about Essendon versus the Giants? That could be a huge game under the lid at Marvel Stadium. You don't have to line up for your hot dogs or drinks anymore. So you can watch the Bombers versus Giants every minute of every quarter, Joey.
We'll be doing that one for the Sunday rub. Daisy, I like the way the Bombers are playing. I think they're going about it pretty well. I haven't seen the Giants live yet, so looking forward to seeing them live in their new style under Adam Kingsley, but I'll have to stick with Essendon at home.
Same.
As long as there's no dissent calls, I'm pretty confident the Giants here. I'm still not sold on the Bombers and what they're doing. Will be good, though. Have you put some thought into your Sunday supper?
Yes, going to do some home cooking.
Ooh.
Just got to let Aaron know about that.
Are you across this day, mate?
Yeah, I am. I like what you're doing there.
Nate Brown brought a lasagna in. He's raised the bar.
He was talking it up too when he
Yeah,
left
it
the
was
Sunday
very
Footy
good.
show. He
Very
said, "I'm
good.
pretty happy with what I'm about
For
to bring
Joey,
to the
who
table."
was a touch dusty, the lasagna just
Oh,
really hit
would've
his
been
spot.
nice.
Yeah.
Went down a treat.
What are you going to do then?
We'll do some home cooking.
Yeah, what's that, mate?
Maybe some quiches or some zucchini slice.
Also, buco or
No.
Zucchini slice. Maybe keep flicking the recipes.
I think Brownie missed the memo that was supposed to be finger food, though. Anyway, catch every game across round 4 on Triple M, starting with tomorrow night's blockbuster at the Gabba between Brisbane and Collingwood, live from 7 p.m. The perfect soundtrack for your Easter long weekend drive with Nathan Brown, Simon Black, Tom Rockcliffe, Liam Flanagan, and Brett Thomas. This has been Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub with Joey, Daisy, and Damo.